Hey guys, what's up? It's your vocal coach, Matt Ramsey. Last week, I had a student that came in for a first lesson, and I was getting to know him a little bit and the things that he liked to sing and all of that stuff. And he was like, Matt, I'm just having a really hard time straining when I'm going up to the top part of my singing voice. I'm like, okay, that's interesting, but I hear that a lot. And so I was thinking, okay, well, this will probably be a really, really easy case to solve. I'll give him a couple of goo, 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 or maybe a nay, 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 and that'll fix it right away. And then I started testing out his range, and I wanted to hear exactly what it was that was kind of holding him back in those top notes, and so I had him sing a little something. And it was interesting in that the higher that he sang, the more I heard Kermit the Frog. And I'm like, man, okay, that's really interesting because, he started off kind of normal, like an but as he went up towards those higher notes, he started adding a little bit more of that kind of Kermity sound. And the really interesting thing about that is that his voice and his larynx and everything looked pretty relaxed, relatively. And then I noticed something. As he was singing higher, these strap muscles on the sides of his larynx were actually getting kind of engaged. And these are kind of some of those swallowing muscles, and they're responsible for raising and lowering the larynx a bit. But the biggest thing that I think was standing in his way was that he was experiencing a lot of tongue tension. Sometimes when these strap muscles get engaged, some of those swallowing muscles kind of engage the tongue and make it start working way harder than it's supposed to. And so if you've been dealing with this, straining in the top part of your voice, and maybe even sounding a little bit kind of operatic. Maybe you don't even realize that you're singing that way. But if you've been dealing with that, especially straining in the top part of your voice, you're gonna find this exercise incredibly helpful. Now, before I actually jump into the scales for the guys and girls, the first thing that I wanna say is that the exercise that we're going to try today is one that I actually substitute for quite often for the people that can't do the lip trill. If you've been around my channel at all, you've probably heard me do the a million times, right? However, there's a lot of people that have a really hard time getting the lips to flop in that kind of free way, right? And so what are some other options that singers can use in order to get that kind of sound? Well, a good substitute for that, and the exercise that we're going to be working on today, is the tongue trill, where basically we're kind of rolling our R's with a pitch behind them. So like a Now, the tongue trill is another example of an SOVT exercise, also known as semi-occluded vocal tract exercise, which is just a really fancy way of saying that I'm closing something somewhere in my throat or in my mouth, and that's actually assisting my vocal folds to continue vibrating fully. So whereas with something like the lip trill, where I'm closing something at the lips, with the tongue trill, I'm closing something inside of my mouth, whereas I'm kind of hooking my tongue to the top part of the roof of my mouth, and that's actually creating some of the resonance in the back part of my throat. But the reason that this works so well for this student and for any other students that are experiencing a lot of tongue tension that maybe don't even realize it, especially the ones that have been following Ken Tamplin's advice, are that it actually tires your tongue out a little bit. So this muscle that's really engaged and is really kind of jumping in to try to help you hit the pitch that you want to hit. Instead, we're tiring the tongue out so that it's not so tempted to reach for the note. There's a lot of singers that, without even realizing it, are kind of raising up the tongue in order to assist with the pitch. And that's because typically, the higher the larynx is, the easier it is for the vocal folds to close. But unfortunately, just like any other tension that you hold in your singing voice, the more tension that you add onto the muscle, the more the chance that it's just going to break and release completely. So with the voice, we always want to find kind of that middle ground where there's as little tension as possible, but you're still actually singing flawlessly. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump on into the exercise. So we're going to be doing the tongue trill, where we're basically rolling our R. I always give the example of carro, like a car in Spanish, carro, and you're going to be imagining the vowel behind the tongue. So example, rather than where I'm kind of thinking an ooh, I'm going to be thinking like an like an like I'm thinking all the way through it, like you and I, us. And all you're going to do is simply roll your tongue behind that. So guys, we're gonna get started right here. Low note of a B flat 2 going up to an F4 in the heart of the male first passage. And what you're going to do is just try to keep that tongue trilling all the way through that. So nice and easy. Now, me personally, I might kind of like spit a little bit, or I might, have some of that weird kind of tongue glottal sound coming in there. But this is all a part of the experience and all a part of the exercise, because what you're really trying to do is you're trying to relax the tongue so that it doesn't feel so tempted to really reach for the notes again. All right, guys, continue here. Keep going. Just let that tongue loose, let that tongue fly. And imagining like us. All the way through. Even through your break. Good job. Up to a C sharp 5 right there. Now, ladies, you can go ahead and get started right here. G3 on the bottom, D5 on the top. Keep going. Excellent. Keep it going, ladies. You got it. 2 more. Good. Up to an A flat 5 on the top. Coming down. All the way through. Thinking Make sure to take a nice deep breath before each one so that you're able to keep the all the way through your break and back down. And remember, this can be a great warm-up. If you're having a hard time with the lip trill, you can sing this instead. Okay, most ladies can probably drop off there. Guys, let's continue here. Good. And try to keep the tongue in the center of the roof of your mouth. Not in the back, not all the way in the front, just touching those little kind of indentations in the top part of the roof of your mouth. We call it the alveolar ridge. Good, let's continue. Good. All right, one more. Beautiful work, guys. Now, the really cool thing about this tongue trill is once your tongue is sufficiently tired here, it's gonna feel much less tempting to kind of reach for those notes in your voice. But maybe you can start to apply that same kind of kind of feeling on something like a mum or a ga like mum. That's a B flat. And once you can do that in your scales, in your exercises, then you can start to apply that nice, same relaxed feeling to all of the words that you sing, no matter what the vowel is. Guys, for a lot more fantastic exercises to help you avoid straining in the top part of your voice, definitely check out my complete singing course, Master Your Voice.